The sun was slowly melting into the horizon, spilling golden light across the surface of the lake, and the breeze carried the soft rustle of leaves as though nature itself was holding its breath. Ethan stood waiting, his heart racing, his eyes fixed on the path where Emma would appear. The moment he caught sight of her walking toward him, every thought in his mind blurred into nothingness. She moved with a grace that seemed almost unreal, her white dress swaying with the wind, her hair catching the sunlight in strands of gold. Time itself seemed to slow. She came closer, her gaze locked on him. And suddenly the world felt impossibly small, just the two of them standing by the water with nothing else in existence. When Emma finally reached him, neither of them spoke. The silence between them was not empty. It was heavy with everything they had always wanted to say, but never needed to. Ethan lifted his hand, his fingers trembling, slightly as he brushed a loose strand of hair away from her cheek. His touch lingered soft against her skin, and the warmth of that contact sent shivers through her. Emma's lips curved into a shy smile, her eyes lowering for just a second before she placed her hand over his, pressing it gently to her face. The softness of her skin under his palm, the way she leaned into his touch, made Ethan feel as though his chest could burst with emotion. "You always make me feel like I'm the only person in the world," she whispered, her voice almost breaking under the weight of her feelings. "And you are," Ethan replied without hesitation, his voice low but steady, his eyes never leaving hers. The space between them dissolved in a heartbeat. Ethan's arms slipped around her waist, drawing her close until she could feel the warmth of his body against hers. Her hands rose to rest on his chest, feeling the fast rhythm of his heartbeat, each thud echoing the intensity of the moment. He tilted his head down, his forehead resting against hers, their breaths mingling, every inhale and exhale carrying the sweetness of anticipation. Emma closed her eyes, surrendering to the closeness, the safety of his arms, the quiet storm of emotions inside her. When Ethan's lips finally brushed hers, it was like the world had shifted. The kiss began tenderly, almost hesitant, as though they were both afraid to break the spell. But the hesitation lasted only a moment before it deepened, carrying with it all the longing, all the unsaid words, all the promises of forever. Emma clutched his shirt, pulling him closer, needing him nearer, while his hands held her with a certainty that said he would never let her go. Their kiss became the language of their souls, filled with passion but also the purest kind of love, as though the universe itself had paused to witness them. The lake shimmered under the fading light, the air cool and crisp, but neither of them noticed. They were lost in each other, in the taste of love on their lips, in the warmth of hands exploring the simple comfort of closeness, in the electricity of every touch. When they finally pulled back, breathless but unwilling to part, Emma laughed softly, her cheeks flushed, her eyes glowing like the stars beginning to appear above them. Ethan pressed his forehead to hers again, whispering words she could barely hear, but feel in her heart. "You're everything I've ever dreamed of." And then, unable to resist, he kissed her once more, deeper than before, sealing that perfect moment against the canvas of time. The sun had already slipped beneath the horizon, leaving the sky painted in soft shades of purple and deep blue. Stars began to sprinkle across the night, their quiet glow reflected on the surface of the lake. The air was cooler now, but in Ethan's arms, Emma felt nothing but warmth. They stood together in silence, her cheek resting against his chest, listening to the strong, steady rhythm of his heartbeat. It was the kind of silence that spoke louder than words, the kind that held the weight of promises and the sweetness of forever. Ethan's arms tightened around her waist, pulling her closer, as if to keep her safe from the night and the world beyond it. Emma tilted her face upward, her eyes searching his, and for a moment she was lost in the way he looked at her. His gaze was intense, filled with a tenderness that made her heart ache. His thumb traced along her jawline, brushing slowly until it rested under her chin. He lifted her face gently toward his, and their lips met once again in a kiss that was softer this time, slower, like a secret meant only for them. She melted into him, her hands curling around his shoulders, her fingers brushing the back of his neck as their kiss lingered. The world around them seemed to vanish, the sound of the wind through the trees fading into nothing. All that remained was the feeling of his lips moving against hers, the warmth of his hands pressing into her back. the closeness of two souls finding home in each other. When they parted for breath, Ethan kept his forehead against hers, their noses brushing, their breaths mingling in the cool night air. "You're my forever," he whispered, the words so soft that only she could hear, as though the stars themselves might steal them if he spoke too loudly. Emma's eyes glistened, her heart swelling, and she kissed him again, faster this time, as if to answer him with more than words could say. They swayed together slowly, almost like a dance, though no music played but the song of their hearts. His hands moved along her arms, down to her hands, lacing his fingers with hers. He kissed the back of her hand gently, then drew her close again, wrapping her in his embrace. Emma rested her head on his shoulder, closing her eyes, breathing in the comfort of his presence. Each touch, each kiss, each soft whisper became a memory carved deep inside them. As the stars multiplied above, Ethan lifted his hand to cup her face again, his thumb brushing her cheek tenderly. He kissed her temple, then her nose, then finally her lips, each kiss carrying a different promise, a different shade of devotion. Emma smiled against his mouth, her laughter soft and filled with joy, and he kissed her again, unable to resist the pull of her happiness. The night stretched endlessly around them, but neither cared for time. In those moments, they were infinite, lost in a world made only of love, of whispered vows and unspoken dreams. Every kiss became a seal of faith, every embrace a reminder that they belonged to each other completely. Ethan whispered once more, his voice steady, full of certainty. "Forever starts here with you." And Emma, with her heart brimming, answered him not with words, but with another kiss that carried her whole soul into his. Please click subscribe to our channel. We have more stories coming soon. Miss any new stories? Thank you for listening.